Hello and welcome into the 65th episode of the Calcio Cast, connecting with you, Italian football fans from all over the world. I am Alex Donno alongside Jerry Mancini. And, Jerry, I do want to say to all the folks, all our listeners, and all of our viewers on YouTube, I really apologize for us not having put out an episode in 2 weeks. It's my fault. I've been very busy. I started a new daily show with onsideradio.com locally here in Miami, which means the first couple of weeks are always the craziest. So I just haven't had the time that I normally would have. And I think I will have more time so we can do regular episodes moving forward. It's just the first couple of weeks are always the toughest to get settled. And, Jerry, I know that some people were wondering if I had been ducking the pod because we haven't done one since right before the Milan derby. So I was like so shocked and upset by that result. Inter lost to Derby for the first time in 4 years, and maybe I just disappeared. I was going to take it like a man and do an episode after the derby. I had trouble finding the time. But I love all of our listeners and viewers. I love you, Jerry. So I'm very happy to be back. And we got some Champions League. I'm really impressed that Lazio were able to grind out a point against Club Brugge today. So, if you've been living under a rock, maybe you didn't see how many players Lazio were missing, okay? COVID-19 is hitting Lazio. And so Lazio today in their Champions League match, we're recording this on Wednesday, were without Ciro Immobile, without Lazzari, without Luis Alberto, without Strakosha, without Leva, Anderson, Cataldi, Luis Felipe, Armini, and Escalante. Jerry, full disclosure, I was watching the Barca Juve game, or Juve Barca, because it was in Turin, so I didn't see a lot of the Lazio match. How did you guys pull a point out of your asses today? How did you even score a goal in that game? I saw you score the opening goal.
Well, in the first half, I thought that Lazio was really in the match. They were neck and neck with Club Brugge, and it was either way. And as the game progressed, you can see the tired legs start to settle in, especially late in the second half. Now, I don't want to be an advocate or a hater of Patrick's. I've always supported this guy. I love the way his work ethic. He tries very hard, and everyone's prone to mistakes. But he made a very poor mistake near the end of first half, and he pulled down a player in the box. I don't remember who it was, and it didn't need to be done because the ball was nowhere near him, and it's just a bonehead decision that really cost him the 3 points. Fortunately, we didn't end up like we did last year against Celtic in Celtic, where we were winning 1-0 before half, and then we end up losing 2-1. So I've seen that this team looks a little bit different compared to last year, where a goal like Patrick's near the halftime, it kind of changes things around. And I think the one player I'm really pleased not to see get COVID, if anything, and you don't want to see anybody get it, but
Right.
Francesco Acerbi. I think if Acerbi doesn't play this game today, it doesn't end up the result that we get. This guy is like the defense in the back. His presence is so it's vital. And if you lose Acerbi, you can't replace this guy. You lose a guy like Luis Alberto today, a guy like Ciro Immobile. You got somebody who can start in the starting 11. A guy like Acerbi, he goes out, and Wesley Holt has done a really good job, fantastic job. But a guy like that, it's just non-replaceable. Luis Felipe can be replaced. It's proven already that in the start of the season we've won games without him, and that guy's made of glass. So to me, I don't know what to expect to him, but overall, it was just a complete team effort. Correa scored a beautiful goal from a nice pass from Marusic. I was impressed with the movement, the patience that he showed on that shot, and I had predicted a 2-1 score on the Laziale Twitter feed, and I said Correa and Milinkovic-Savic were going to score today, and Milinkovic-Savic came so close in the second half to scoring, and I think it was Cherby who made the long pass to him from the left side, and Savic does a brilliant job keeping himself onside and times his run to perfection. And credit to the Bruges goalkeeper that he comes out strong. He takes out an arm, and he takes out his arm and positions himself right. And I was like, oh, but like Savage will be my other notable player in this match if it wasn't a Cherby. What a presence in the midfield. That guy has the best feet, man. Like unbelievable. Just deking out like three players, getting around, and his movement, his footwork is so great, and he's so composed and has such good like stature. Like I love this guy. Another he came back from an injury. Thank God he was ready to play today. But overall, a great team effort, and I'm hoping that someone can come back on Sunday because we lost Caicedo in the game with an injury, and he battled out. He battled through an arm injury. He was in a lot of pain, and we had to go through to a Primavera player. And you know what? 19 years old, his first appearance, and he got it out. So you know what? Credit to Inzaghi. This guy put in a workmanship, freaking like whatever you want to call it. Such a leader. And when Correa scored, the first thing he did was going to go hug Inzaghi, and that just speaks highly of what the players feel about Inzaghi, what they think about him, and the love they show for this guy and the commitment. So proud effort. I'm happy with the result. I would have preferred the win, but in a situation like this, a tie is the best result you could probably get.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I were in your shoes, having a baker's dozen of players out, I would be thankful to get any result in Bruges. So that's fantastic. Obviously, the COVID situation is not fantastic. And, Jerry, even though we haven't done a show together in a couple of weeks, you and I talk a lot. We have a group chat with our friend Joe Fischetti from the Forza Napoli pod, and you've brought this up a lot in the chat, and you're absolutely right. This season is just it's so different due to COVID-19. And I can understand and respect how Serie A's policy, and obviously the policy was kind of fucked up, like what it did to Napoli, having to forfeit that Juve game. But so I'm not saying I like it, but I understand their protocol is we can't be stopping these games. Like we need to continue the season because we can't run late because we'd be running into the Euros that we have to finish by a certain time. And unfortunately, if you have a number of players out for COVID, they're just going to have to sit out and the games are going to continue. I don't like it, but I understand it because they're on a strict clock with the Euros coming up this summer. But with that said, you're going to have, I think, some unfortunate results as far as maybe who wins the Scudetto, who qualifies for Champions League and Europa League, because it might come down to the top four finishers or top six finishers might just end up being the teams that stay healthiest, right? I mean, we've already had, and it's probably good for like a team like Napoli that still is doing very well in the standings. It may be good that they were hit relatively early and, assuming that they don't have another outbreak. Inter also had a number of players hit early, and I'm not going to make excuses like for losing the derby or anything, but it certainly did affect the squad without being without 6 or 7 players over the last couple of weeks. And now Milan is experiencing it. They didn't have Donnarumma for that really crazy, poorly officiated game they had against Roma that ended in a 3-3 draw. So that certainly affected them. Juve has been without Cristiano Ronaldo for a couple of weeks, and that has certainly affected them because, even though a guy like Kulusevski is stepping up and playing incredibly well, they had become so Ronaldo dependent that now being without Ronaldo, who even though he says he's feeling great, keeps testing positive and he's unavailable to play, that's really had an impact. And now, like, I feel really bad for Lazio, and I don't know, like, how many of the guys were out today. I don't know if some of them were just, like, quarantined because of contact tracing, and maybe they don't know for sure if they have COVID. So, I mean, I'm guessing maybe out of the 13 guys who weren't part of the squad in Champions League midweek, maybe some of those might be back for the weekend. But I'd probably guess most players will not be back for the Torino match at the weekend. I'm not sure if they play Saturday or Sunday, but that may not make a huge difference. I mean, Jerry, how worried would you be, getting back to Serie A and going up against a team like Torino, maybe missing 9 or 10 guys on the squad this weekend? It's going to be tough.
It's huge. And I was reading today that the team doctor was saying that there might be false tests again with some of the players with Lazio, and that the testing is not good. Along those lines, basically. But if Andrea Pereira was tested positive yesterday, and then later found out his test was false. So then he flew out by himself to Bruges and played today. So
It
that's
happened with Hakimi last week. A false positive kept him out
yeah.
of the Mönchengladbach game last week. It was ridiculous.
And there's a possibility that Luis Alberto and Ciro Immobile could be false as well. Now, before I touch on Torino, I want to say one thing. A result like this today really encourages me more and makes me think that Lazio should be able or could actually get out of this group. Like
Oh,
to
it's a
tie,
great start. I agree.
yeah, to
And
beat.
and Dortmund lost today.
No, they won. They won.
Oh, did they win?
They
Oh,
won
I'm
against Zenit.
sorry.
They won against Zenit 2-0. And we play Zenit next Wednesday.
I
So
don't know why I thought they lost. Yeah, sorry about that.
but it's very deep right now. You got Lazio first, Club Brugge second, Dortmund third, and it's separated by 1 point. So for me, I honestly think that Lazio can beat Club Brugge when they come back to Rome. And you got Zenit, who looks like they can't score goals. They've only scored once in the last 2 games. So for me, this is a very encouraging sign. And if they're able to get some players back next Wednesday, I do believe that going to Zenit, and I know it's a far distance travel, I think that they can manage a win there. So I know it's still a long way to go, but in terms of Torino, I think we might see some Primavera players be inserted into the lineup. I'm hoping to see Maro Raru. I forget his name. He's an 18 or 17-year-old. His name just went blank in my head, but he's one of our prospects, and I'd like to see him come in. But you know what? Who knows what's gonna happen in the next 4 days? I would assume tomorrow they're not gonna train. They'll be resting 100%, and then Friday they'll go back to regular training. Saturday, Inzaghi will get a better idea of what to expect on Sunday. But you're playing a Torino side who's showing bad form, can't win games right now. Who knows what Torino is going to be like on Sunday? This is an advantage for them to get into the win column playing a depleted Lazio side, but this is a team that right now is finding ways to get points, to win games, or to manage a decent result. And a game like today was very encouraging to see. So I know that Caicedo getting hurt doesn't help. I'm hoping that some players return, like I said, but I'll celebrate the draw today. Normally you don't celebrate a draw, but in the circumstances that they were in today, I'll take it, and you go on to the next game. And the last thing is that, to touch upon what we said, depth is no longer a thing this year. I find that you can have the best starting 20, like the best roster. Look at Juventus today. They didn't have Ronaldo. If they had Ronaldo against Barcelona, you're telling me they lose 2-0? I don't think so. I think the game's a whole different situation. You got one of the best players in the world all of a sudden. So you can buy the best players, you can have the depth, but these are different times where COVID can take your team right out, and you have to deal with what you have.
Yep.
And when I hear, well, you didn't buy enough players, no, don't give me that shit. I'll tell you right now, that is not going to work with me, because you can buy all the players you want, but at the end of the day, if you have your team like today, like Lazio, and when Napoli played last week, they played AZ Alkmaar. They had their 12 guys out. These are times that no one has ever thought about.
And look at what Shakhtar did to Real Madrid last week. Shakhtar had 10 guys out for COVID-19, and they beat Real Madrid 3-2. They had a 3-0 lead in that game.
Exactly. So I just think that these are different times, and Inzaghi said it perfect in his press conference, okay? He said, and he's never made an excuse this season about COVID and saying, oh, we have certain guys out. No. This is a guy who said, we cannot stop the league. And we stop the league, it's over. These are hard times, but these are new realities we need to live with. It's here to stay. It's just something that we need to adjust to. And credit to him that he went to the game and he dealt with it. He took it as a man. He didn't make any excuses, and that's it. And I'm proud of him because in the past he would always have an excuse for every game, and this year he has not used injuries as an excuse. He said, "Yes, we are depleted. Yes, there are unfortunate circumstances that players have come in late, but not once when he has lost or tied he said, oh, this is why we didn't lose, or the referee." No, he has always been 100% to the game, and if his players have done something, he takes accountability. I've seen it, and it's something new to him.
You know, Jerry, I know obviously you were invested in Lazio's match against Club Brugge today. I can only imagine what Juventus fans, what sort of profanities they were yelling and what they were throwing at their TV watching the match against Barca. So Barca went into Turin and they beat Juve 2-0. But on the Juve side of things, Jerry, Alvaro Morata scored 3 goals that were all called offsides in that game. So the VAR in Alvaro, VAR should be capitalized because he had 3 goals taken off the board for offside. I mean, it was not his night tonight in Champions League. And, you know, Barca, and by the way, Barca, on a side note, drove me crazy because I didn't bet on either team in this game, but I did bet over 2.75 goals. So I could have gotten a quarter cover if there had been 3 goals scored in the game. And then, like, in the final couple minutes, Jerry, Ansu Fati for Barca, they were already up 2-0. He was wide open in the box, only had Szczesny in front of him to beat. Would have been an easy goal, but he decides to try some cheeky pass to a teammate. I could have fucking scored that goal. Like, if I could that position, to be fair, but if I had gotten myself wide open in the box and there's no defender within 10 yards of me, I just have to kick the ball past Szczesny, I could have finished and scored that goal, but he tries for a ridiculous fancy pass and they don't score. And so that would have been my cover. Like, he gave up a free goal, which drove me insane. But something that you're going to love this, after the match, the Barcelona official Twitter account, my God, A+ for trolling. I don't know if you can see this. Hold on. I got to pull it up so I can see the video.
Is that Messi?
I don't know if you can see this, but so Cristiano Ronaldo did not play in the game today because he's still testing positive for COVID. But Messi did play for Barca. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't play. So the official Barcelona account tweeted out, "We are glad you were able to see the GOAT on your pitch at Juventus FC." Picture of Messi. Like, they deserve to win the match just for that, right? I mean, for any Juve fans who thought that they were unlucky or they were undone by VAR or whatever, like, just for that trolling, Barcelona deserves to take 3 points from that game. Did you watch Inter Shakhtar yesterday? They ended up playing to a 0-0 draw. I'm of two minds with this, okay? On the one hand, I'm disappointed that Inter has not been able to seize a victory yet in that group because it's going to end up being a dogfight, right? For as bad as Real Madrid has been, they've only taken 1 point in 2 games. They're going to find their form eventually. They actually play Inter in 2 straight now. They're going to play, the home and away for the next 2 matches in Champions League. Would not surprise me one bit if they find their form against Inter. That's just my lot in life as an Interista. So on the one hand, like, I'm worried about the fact that they missed an opportunity, did Inter, to take all 3 points against Gladbach last week. They miss an even bigger opportunity because they really should have won the match against Shakhtar. So they've missed 2 chances to take 3 points in a match. So your chances in the group are getting tough. But if I'm just breaking down the game itself, Jerry, I really can't feel too bad about that performance, right? I mean, sometimes even when your XG, your expected goals, are very high. Inter was over 2.0. I think it was like 2.09 with their XG in that game. They really should have scored. Coming off of just a really lazy performance against Genoa at the weekend, it sucks not to score. Obviously, they missed chances. They hit 2 crossbars in the game. But I thought Inter played really well, especially in the first half against Shakhtar. Like, they were energetic. They were making runs. They were attacking. The balance was very good. They weren't getting caught in the back. And not only did they hit a couple of crossbars in the game, and Lautaro missed an open net that he really shouldn't have missed. And then I don't know if you saw the what should have been a penalty that Lukaku drew, where I mean he
in the
gets
second
tackled
half.
inside the box like an NFL running back. Like it, and listen, I don't use referees as excuses because Inter should have scored goals from open play in the game. But then when you don't score from open play when you should score, and then you get what should have been a clear penalty and it's not called, it's not even reviewed with the VAR. I come away very frustrated with that. But they're just and we've all seen this, Jerry. Like sometimes your team is going to win games that they don't deserve to win. Other times they're going to play really well and don't win. You're just going to have nights like that in football. Like sometimes you play well and you don't convert your chances. So I can't be too frustrated with Inter's performance because when you look at the ratio of chances created versus chances conceded, yeah, they were wasteful, but I thought they played very well. And to me, with some of the uneven performances that Inter have had, like I've got to take some satisfaction out of the fact that they played a good match. So I'm disappointed not to get 3 points where there should have been 3 points, but at least for moving forward in Serie A and in the Champions League, I can hold my head up high because they played well enough to win that game.
No, absolutely. And I, before I forget, I want to ask you a question in regards to Juventus before I touch on Inter.
Sure.
You said that Alvaro Morata was offside 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Were they the right calls of all 3? I didn't watch the game today.
I think I've got to go back and watch them all because I was doing a live show during most of the game, but I think at least 2 out of the 3 were absolutely the right call. But it's just frustrating, right? I mean, especially when they allow the goal and then they disallow it with VAR.
That's the one thing I hated about Morata with Chelsea. First, he would fall on the floor so easily. It's so frustrating to watch. Like a little love tap and he just falls easily, tries to draw the foul. So referees know how he is, so they don't give it to him very often. Secondly, he can't time his runs properly. Like his timing of his runs are so bad. I remember that guy was offside like 10 times a game. Those are the 2 things I didn't like about his game, and it sounds like today that's what happened. But in regards to Inter, because who gives a shit about Juventus? But
we've talked a lot about him today, though. So.
Too much. Oh, did you see that Ronaldo video, by the way, where he's on his treadmill and he's running, and then he goes off and he does like that stupid goal celebration?
He's such a dork. Honestly, and can I make a quick side note on Ronaldo? I think he's handling his COVID situation like a jackass, truly and honestly, because this guy is one of the most influential human beings on planet Earth. And I don't say that lightly. Like he has millions upon millions of fans, people who look up to him and idolize him. And during this pandemic, I think it's really important for people like Ronaldo who have a platform to set a positive example, right? To show that, hey, I'm taking this pandemic seriously. Even if I'm not sick personally, I could be contagious. I don't want to spread it. Since he came down with COVID, he's already, according to the Minister of Health in Italy, he's already broken quarantine law by coming back, to Italy from international duty, that he shouldn't have done that. He should have quarantined. And now he's on Instagram calling the PCR testing bullshit, basically saying that he doesn't believe he's really testing positive, as if and this is me reading between the lines. He hasn't said this, but it sounds to me like he's trying to say that he's getting screwed over by these tests and it's not real. Like that's what it sounds like. And so instead of him setting an example of, hey, I'm going to be really responsible and take this seriously, he's basically just saying, you should let me play. The rules don't apply to me. I just think he's setting a terrible example.
No, absolutely. But screw that jackass.
Go ahead. On to Inter.
Yeah, Inter. Okay, so I didn't catch the first half because I got home late from work, but I did catch the second half. And the one player who actually stood out to me the most was Nicolo Barella. Yeah. I think that he's very influential, and he's starting to develop that attacking midfielder role where he's very creative and can make really good passes. And there was one sequence where he made a brilliant pass to Lukaku right through the channel. I was like, wow. And he's starting to advance the ball forward, and he looks more comfortable at game after game. I don't like Brozovic anymore. I think that he's more of a liability than
what happened to him.
I don't know either. He looks very slow. He loses possession way too easily. Can't win battles. He loses one-on-one battles with players too easily. And I think that Christian Eriksen should be playing way more. I
It
think
should be. I think honestly, and obviously you got to rotate when you're playing 2 matches a week. I get it, but I think Inter's best midfield would be Vidal, who's been very good,
Mhm.
Barella, who you mentioned, who's been great, and then Eriksson. I think that would be your best midfield three. Instead, Conte keeps trying to play Eriksson and Brozovic together, and it's like vinegar and water. Like they just don't mix together well.
No, absolutely. And I'm just looking at their lineup right now, and Lautaro Martinez, how did he miss that sitter? Is he okay? Like, is he like?
You know what? I think he might have found out a couple of hours before the rest of us that Barcelona fired their entire board, and maybe he's now distracted thinking like the Barcelona move is back on or something. Like I don't know. It just like something is in his head again.
Yeah, I don't know how he missed that sitter. He was very disappointed, but I don't know how long until Conte just like blows up and because I still think Lukaku and Martinez are one of the best duels in football, and especially in City A. I would rank them in top three on when these two are on form, like good form. They are unstoppable, and they're just so good. You just can't beat them. But Ashley Young stayed in the game too long, got hurt, just came back from an injury, or he came back from COVID, I believe.
Yeah, from COVID.
Like overused him too quickly. Now he's probably who knows how long he'll be out for. But Hakimi, what a signing!
Yeah.
Wow. Like anytime that ball goes to him, you know that there's a possibility that there's a scoring chance coming. And my last thing is D'Ambrosio. Do you think he's lost a step? Because he doesn't look as quick as he used to be. Well, he was never fast, but
Yeah.
he just looks like he's out of position a lot of the time. I don't know, or am I just overanalyzing that?
Well, part of the problem is he changes position a lot because he gets used either as a right center back or as a right wing back, and I think he's a fullback. Like I think if you had a traditional back
Yes.
four, he's a decent right fullback, but he's not really quick enough and dangerous enough to be a good right wing back, and he's also not solid enough defensively to be a starting center back. So I think he's a good squad player. Like I think it's good to have him on your team. He's going to score some clutch goals. He's going to make some clutch defensive plays. He's just not really a consistent guy. And I got to wrap it up here because I'm actually, if you guys can see, I'm in the Inter Miami press box. We've got a pregame coming up in a half hour from when we record this. So and Jerry, by the way, I want to let the people know you and I are going to be enemies this weekend because Toronto FC takes on Inter Miami on Sunday. So we've definitely got to do either a pre-show or like a post-game wrap-up after that game because, for Toronto, they've already clinched the playoffs, so they're playing for Supporters Shield, where Inter Miami is, they're in the playoffs right now today, but, they could drop out of it if they don't keep winning games. So that's going to be a really, really important game. And yeah, we're going to try to be more consistent with these episodes because we were churning them out a lot until I pulled the diva card and I said, hey, Inter lost to Milan Derby. I'm not going to be available until everyone forgets about that match, and then I'm going to turn up again a little bit later. But no, you're right about, by the way, last thing I'll say is Barella has been great lately. He was great in the international break with the Azzurri a couple weeks back. He made the difference against Genoa last week because when he came on, that's when Inter found their spark attacking, right? He really helped them. They ended up winning the game 2-0, but it wasn't until Barella came on in the second half that they caught fire. And yeah, so Inter has Parma this weekend. Lazio, we'll see how shorthanded they are. They have Torino. So we will.
I got one last question before you go.
Sure.
One quick thing. Ivan Perisic, is that the only left wing back you guys? It's not even a left wing back. It's the sad part. Is that the only guy? Nobody else.
I think Darmian can play there and Kolarov can play there. And actually Kolarov, I think, is better at wing back than at center back because at center back, he's a human traffic cone. At least at wing back, he can go forward a little bit and not be such a defensive liability. So they have options. I mean, the best, I think Ashley Young is the best, but he's old, so he can't play every match and he can't play 90 minutes necessarily. But I think he's the best at that position. And
okay,
Perisic is just figuring it out still. But we're going to talk to you guys next time on another episode of the Calcio Connection podcast. Ciao.